Welcome back to the NEPA Scene Podcast. This is episode 11. And tonight we're going to do something a little bit different. We're meeting at a different time. Usually we record these on Mondays, and today is Sunday. So we're going to just kind of talk about ourselves rather than go through the process of getting to know someone. Screw everyone else. Tonight it's just all about us. And we figured it was about time. I mean, we've done 10 episodes so far, and we talked a little bit about my journalism background in the first episode, and you get to know us little bits here and there throughout each episode. But why who are all these people? Why do we matter? Yeah,
why don't we matter?
Why do you care what we have to say? That's
why should you care?
Yeah, exactly. So we figured, why not? Let's just talk about it ourselves and each other. So I'm not even going to do the first bit where we talk about the site or anything like that. Let's just get right into it. And
you don't want to talk about the site at all?
No. I mean, there's go to the site. Go to nepascene.com.
Oh my God,
what's on there.
Rich has officially given up.
Yeah, I'm done. It's over.
Rich is like, the site doesn't matter anymore. There's nothing new that you did this week?
Well, no, it's not that there's nothing that we didn't do.
I just don't want to deprive the world of getting to know what happened.
Well, they should go to the damn site and read it.
Maybe that's what's happening, is that you're recapping.
Yeah, maybe I'm telling too much. I'm giving too much away.
You know what it should be? There's a great article about a band. There's a great article about an artist.
Yep.
NEPAscene.com.
Right.
All one word. No slashes.
Why buy the cow when you get NEPA Scene for free?
What does that even mean? Who says that?
Saying. That's a new
common saying.
That is what they say.
It's an old wives' tale.
All right, so we every week we really don't have a format. We try to adhere to one, but we don't.
We try to introduce ourselves.
Yes.
Every week.
We should do that.
So let's.
I'm Rich Howells. I'm the founder and editor of NEPA Scene. I think that's probably self-explanatory, but Lauren?
I am Lauren Quirolgico. Mark says that I'm the voice of reason. I'm not sure what that means.
It means you're the voice of reason, Lauren. I don't know how. That's pretty self-explanatory.
Okay.
I'm Mark Dennebaum. I'm the voice of unreason, I guess.
You're like Loki.
I'm not, but not like that. No. Am I?
A little bit.
I'm not like mischievous. Am I?
A little bit.
Shit. And I run 25/8 Productions and Studios. And then there's the other guy.
Hi, my name is Jim Reynolds, and I run the Stewed at 25/8 Studios, in which I record bands, audiobooks, do sound design for commercials, and mix movies as well. If you have any other challenges, please come and bring them my way.
Like what? Like what would
sword fight?
Yeah, I've never recorded a sword fight.
Let's do it.
Okay.
All right.
Like, to you, what would be the most challenging thing that you could do, right? Like, that you can think of? I'm sure there's, within reason, not like I want to record like Lunar Rocks.
A huge orchestra.
Is that what you'd want to do? Like
by numbers, and I just feel like I would be overwhelmed by a huge number of people that I have to record. Like when we watch those clips where they record sound libraries or orchestras for movies, and they're like 120 tracks, that would scare me.
But it's something that you'd be willing to do.
Oh yeah, because it'll only make you, any challenge makes you better, or makes you quit, I guess.
But not you.
Let's start with you then. How did you get into doing what, like, because you have two professions,
right? Well,
so how did you get
three
into,
even really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. My God! Yeah, I didn't even think. I totally discounted your talent as a musician.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Actually, you're pretty much a master of all your trades, which is very rare. I mean, but
there's always room for improvement.
Yeah, but you can say that. But from me looking at it, I'm totally jealous of everything that you do.
Thank you. I'm jealous of you too. Your ability to edit movies and sit and watch them. I have a hard time even just sitting and watching a movie.
You're jealous of the fact that I can sit and eat high fructose corn syrup candies. Nothing. You got nothing on that one.
I was confused. I don't know. Well, you usually eat Chinese food and watch movies.
I'll eat whatever the hell's in front of me and watch a movie.
Right. Well, I don't know. I'll test that theory out. But anyway, I got into sound.
How'd you get into just music?
How did I get it? Okay, I'll start there, I guess, because that's like when I was 3 years old or 2 years old. So as far back as I can remember, my first memories were of sitting in my grandpa's basement and watching my dad's band rehearse. And my dad was in a band called the Blue Trolley Band. He was in a band with his brother and two other guys. Originally starting, actually no, when it first started, they had a drum machine, and then
in the 80s,
early 80s, I think it was like 82, 83, and this was before I was born. But then they got a drummer, replaced the drum machine, and then I was born. And from 2 to 3 years old, I would, every once in a while, my dad would bring me down, and it was really cool because their practice room was set up like a recording studio. There was the studio room where the drum kit was, their guitar amps, and everybody'd be standing around. And then in the other room, there was recording gear, because when they weren't practicing with their band, they'd be writing music and making demos and that sort of thing with it. So, being a 2 to 3 year old kid, just music in itself is overwhelming and an awesome experience, let alone, you being in the perspective of a 2 year old. You're very short, so looking up and seeing all this gear, like seeing these reels spinning, seeing these meters moving, looking up and seeing my dad with his guitar, watching the drummer like play this drum kit that's bigger than 10 of my bodies at the time. Like it was just it was an awesome experience, and I would just sit there and listen. And
so I mean, was it like sensory overload? It's like sight, but it was sound, and
it was like I don't know what this is or like what I'm really hearing, but I gotta hear more of it. So, during that time, that was an awesome experience to have. Then when I'd be home, my dad was awesome and my mom, because they let me play with their stereo and everything from a very young age. And I think if I had a child, the stereo would be off limits. But I remember waking up on Saturday mornings, and this was like when you bought a stereo, this was a stereo. It was all modular
huge
components. Yeah, like the amplifier was one thing, the tape player was a different thing, the record player was its own, everything was different. So I remember I'd wake up even before my parents would be up on a Saturday morning, and I would put on my dad's headphones. And one of the first memories I have of putting the headphones on was listening to Michael Jackson. I can't remember what Michael Jackson song it was, but I remember turning the dial, and as soon as it tuned in to Michael Jackson, you know how like on older stereos, when you had to actually dial in the radio to the channel, right?
Yeah.
It would be mono until you got to the station that was like right on. Yeah, well, at least on my mom's console, yeah. So it was like I heard Michael Jackson all staticky, and then boom, I locked right onto it, and I heard him like, it was just like amazing to me, because I had these headphones on, and I was no longer in my living room. I was hearing Michael Jackson at like a concert, because I didn't know what reverb was, I didn't know what delay was, I didn't know anything about mixing. And I just remember, between watching my dad's band practice, sitting in my living room, putting the headphones on, and just thinking to myself, like, what is this that I'm hearing? Like, what's this sound? What's that sound? I remember hearing a pick scratch for the first time, and I had no idea what it was. I didn't even know it was a guitar. I was just like, what is this noise? That sounds awesome. And from that point, I would listen to my dad's tapes and that sort of thing, because he always had tapes lying around for
like
practice.
cassette tapes
For practice. And he had a couple cassette tapes of his own demos that he recorded with his brothers, because a lot of my family is very musically talented, and that was my first impression of music, was from like just blown away as like a bystander, and I was like, wow, this is something that I have to do.
So yeah, but that was the moment so those are the moments where you became a fan of music.
It's when I became a fan of music, and it's actually a point of time where I look back now as a musician and an engineer, almost being envious of myself at that time, because I was able to completely let music wow me. Now I can't listen to music anymore the same way, because I'm constantly dissecting it. I'm constantly judging things. I'm listening to what effects are being used. Back then, when you don't know anything about that, it's just this wall that slams into you, and you're like, it's magic. That's all you can really say. And it's like almost like the more you learn about it, the more the magic fades away, because it's all technical. You know what I mean? So when I start getting aggravated at myself with mixing too much or playing too much, I try to put myself back in that mind frame and think to myself, like, music is an incredible experience, and I just have to try to remove myself from the technicalities that can overwhelm you, and just be entertained by it and enjoy it. So then when I was about 7 years old...
Oh, this is great. We don't even have to ask questions. Keep going, Jim.
I'm just giving you the history.
No, I mean, that was probably going to be the next question I was going to ask, but I was like, this is great.
If you need to just cut me off. But
never.
So
Bobby Keller loves you. He's going to have a lot of you. This is the most
I've ever talked.
I know. This is why it's all about you, baby.
So I was 7 years old, maybe 6.5, and my dad found a drum kit that somebody was throwing away. And it was a junior drum kit with, like, I think it was like 6-inch, 8-inch, and a 10-inch toms and a kick drum and that sort of thing. So my dad took it, cleaned it all up, got new heads for it, machined new hardware for it for whatever was missing, because my dad's a machinist. And
that was an awful noise.
Oh, sorry, I just.
I thought it was a machine noise.
No, yeah, Jimmy.
I'm just trying to. Yeah, I'm trying
Machine
to.
Gun Jim just.
He's adding his own sound effects now.
Snorfed.
So he machined all the parts that were missing, bought me some cymbals and that sort of thing, and then.
Now, did you ask for that?
No. My dad. I just remember my dad and my mom. I think they woke me up one night. And,
it's 3 a.m. We have a drum kit.
No, it was just like my mom was like, we have something special for you.
It's a sister.
Yeah, that's another podcast. I'm just kidding. How babies are made.
Oh no!
Accident.
The stork.
Yeah.
No, but so they brought me down in my basement and they showed me that we have like an old coal bin. That's not a coal bin; it's just like a storage area now. And
the site of murders.
Yeah. They just showed me the drum kit, and I was amazed by it. And then,
did you immediately start playing it, or at least hitting it?
No, because it needed some work. So but from that point on, it became my dad and I. It became our project to get it back to
So
playing.
the drums were your first instrument then?
Drums were my first instrument, and I didn't play guitar until I was about 13 or 14.
Oh, okay.
So
for almost like 10 years, you were playing, or
just
8.
drums. Yeah, just
really?
drums. And my dad, I got to give him credit. My dad, who's not a drummer, taught me how to play drums. He taught me the basic coordination I need, and then I would put on records. I'd listen to Led Zeppelin or Eric Clapton or the Beatles and just put my headphones on and just hours I'd play along. And again, I got to give my parents credit for that, because that can get old hearing drums after a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm trying to watch my stories.
Yeah. So, yeah, I got into that. And then when I was in about 7th grade is when I started playing guitar. I just was like, finally, I was overwhelmed by all the notes, and I was like, I can never do that. But I saw other people around me learning how to play, and I figured, let me give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen,
Sure.
And then from there...
Still no more questions asked. Keep going.
After I learned... It was kind of like when I learned how to play guitar was also when I started learning recording. Because at that time, my dad's band kind of dissolved, and my grandpa's basement was just like some gear all disassembled and everything sitting down there. So at my house, with my dad set up his old reel-to-reel recorder for me, and my friend Tim and I would record horrendous covers of the Beatles.
Why were they so bad?
Because there's just like... I didn't know much about recording, and we both really didn't know much about playing either.
Playing should help.
We didn't use guitar amps, so I would plug Tim's guitar right into a distortion pedal, and the distortion pedal right into the front of the tape machine. So everything's like real glassy distortion, and I had 2 kind of crappy mics that I got with the karaoke machine, and they were my drum mics, one in the kick and one over the kit. I mean, I got it. It's not terrible, but it's very crude, but it was fun. I learned how to punch in and out on tape, and I learned how to, how to record and make sure your levels aren't hot and that sort of thing. And watching it on tape is a completely different experience of learning how to record digital, because there's more hands-on involved. Your tape can get jammed up, your heads get dirty. You have to demagnetize every once in a while, and if you record something too hot, you ruin the tape, and something's stuck on there forever.
See, I think people think that there's way too much of a simplicity in digital, and like I watch you, and I don't know, like it's almost like watching you do stuff with analog. Mm-hmm. it's like not only do you have to be like, really sharp at what you're doing, but you have to be like a mechanic, a technician.
Oh yeah.
A problem solver. You have to have patience.
Mm-hmm. Right. And we I think we live in an age where things are so disposable now. Like even some of the gear, the digital gear that I have, if it breaks, I mean, I'm kind of screwed. You just throw it away for the most part because there's barely any repair places. And sometimes it's more to repair it than it is to buy a new piece of gear. But anyway, like I compare being an analog lover or like old gear lover to someone that likes antique cars. Because when you own an antique car, if you don't know anything about cars or repair, you're going to be spending so much money if you can't work on it yourself.
Yeah, but that's part of don't you think that's part of the joy of it is that you get to,
right.
It's tangible. You can touch it. You can.
Right. Definitely. That's why people that own antique cars, most of them can work on them themselves or at least have some knowledge how to pop the hood and get things running. But it's the same thing with analog gear. If something starts getting crackly or something acts up or whatever, something blows out, you have to. I don't know how to repair electronics in like really like a lot of detail.
Like
but
circuit boards.
I can look at things and see if something's blown out, like what it looks like, right? And cleaning things or diagnosing a problem, And then if I can't repair it myself, sometimes like I can call a repair place and get parts for it or whatever I need.
So when did you start playing in bands?
Well, the first band that I had was with my friend Tim, doing that stuff, and we played a couple of parties that our friends wanted us to play. And then at the same time, I had a interest in, not like this was like all at the same time, kind of maybe within a year or two, getting into recording again. Also, kind of, I tried to get my dad to get back onto it again too, and kind of sparked his interest in it again. Because like I said, my dad wasn't playing in this band anymore, and the studio in my grandpa's basement was kind of all in parts. So I got him to go down there, and we got everything hooked back up. And to replace the analog tape, I bought it's when mini discs were big. Remember mini discs?
Oh my God, yeah.
And the recorder,
square CDs.
Yeah, with a little CD inside.
Yeah.
So the recorder that I had was they were like mini discs. The same exact thing, was just a marketing thing. But you couldn't record onto a mini disc. You had to buy one that was special for this machine. It was the same exact thing. It actually played mini discs, but you couldn't record onto them. You had to buy their special formatted. Yeah, you know what I mean. It was just, but instead of paying $5 for a disc, I had to pay $20 every time. But anyway, it was a digital multi-track recorder, so that was like awesome for that time. This is like 1998, 99, and 2000. This isn't like forever ago, but when you put in the perspective of how far technology has come, that's why it blows my mind. Because this is when I was in high school. So we got that going. I would go down in the basement with my dad and his brother, my cousin, and we actually made an album or two just screwing around down there. We played a couple benefits. And then I'd say I got serious about being in bands probably around 2005. I joined a band with my dad and our friend Nunzi.
I love Nunzi.
And we play classic rock. And at that same time, my other friend was interested in playing, and I joined Maybe Someday, which we played a lot of like pop music and more contemporary, and played like Tinks, and then it became Hardware Bar and all those kind of places for, people.
Yeah, but you guys were incredibly successful as Maybe Someday.
It's crazy. I don't know really what happened. We were just at the right place at the right time and knew the right people, but we were packing bars where they used to have to count people leaving to let people in with fire code. So from there, I always had recording as a hobby.
Now, were you recording albums while Maybe Someday, and it was Cameron Ave Band at the time, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
So you were still recording though, right?
Yeah, I recorded Cameron Avenue Band. We made a demo CD to hand out to bars. Maybe Someday we made an original album. And then after my original, or the Maybe Someday original album, that's when Brian Brophy and I started working on his Autumn Sunrise album. And kind of overlapped in the time there when I started working with Tom Graham on his album, which is going to be released in February. But it was weird because all these projects that I was working on between Brophy and Tom kind of went on hold for a while. And not that I stopped recording, but it was just...
Well, life happens.
Right, life happens, and it's just, again, it's a hobby. And I've always had a rig. So like it was a laptop for a while, and I was able to bring that to location to either record shows or a couple bands. I would show up in their basement and hook up mics and record their practices, and that's kind of how I like hone my skill on practicing recording actually.
Is there a great benefit to doing everything wrong?
Definitely. What do you for playing wise or
no? I mean just in recording or playing or whatever. Because I think like the lessons you learn by doing it incorrectly are more valuable than somebody saying, "Oh, this is the right way to do it."
Right. Yeah. I think music wise, sometimes it's great to make a mistake because sometimes you'll play a chord over another chord that you wouldn't have done before, but it sounds awesome together, for example, or a melody line over something else you wouldn't have done, or a vocal part out of time with another one that works, things like that. As far as recording, definitely, because that's why it's the art of recording, because sometimes you want to do things completely different and like non-conventional because you want a different sound. So sometimes it's great to overload your mixer with your drums just so you get a distorted drum sound that works for the character of a song, or a distorted vocal, or like I said, plug in the distortion pedal right into the tape machine. That's what the Beatles did to record Revolution. That's why that guitar is so iconic. I mean, they were using a tube distortion pedal and a tube console and that sort of thing, but it's the same idea. But sometimes you break the conventional rules and get something completely different. And that was another huge influence on me, was the Beatles, because they were a band and they also had recording knowledge, and they were coming out with like cutting edge ideas on that revolutionized the recording industry. A lot. I could go in a whole podcast of just different ideas they came up with.
Don't worry, we have 52 a year to fill.
Yeah, well, I mean, but they were the first band to use a direct box because George Martin invented it for whatever reason, and the Beatles had an application for it. They were the first band to record a bass with a bass speaker. They took a bass cabinet when Paul was playing, and they took a bass speaker, hooked it up backwards, and used it as a microphone to record the bass frequencies into the console, so they got a different sound. They were the first band to record with the mics closer to the kit. That's why they had such a distinctive sound on like the Revolver album. And
Did you guys know that a microphone can also be a speaker?
I did not know that.
You didn't? Yeah, you didn't know that?
No, and no idea.
Yeah. You could actually, what we're talking into now, you can actually turn into something that makes sound.
It's the same idea because it's a vibrating diaphragm.
Right, it makes sense when you say it.
If your voice is hitting it and it's going into a system, or if it's coming out of a system and then vibrating the diaphragm on the end of it. So
yeah. Do you know how I learned that?
How?
And Jimmy, I didn't learn that from you, which I'm sorry I didn't. I learned it at a young age.
What did you do?
I had remember Iowa's?
Oh, yeah. The AIWA?
Yeah, they had it was like the big thing where they had like the 3-disc changer, and you could pick hall, concert, rock.
Oh,
you know, these presets and shit.
Mm-hmm. Jazz, pop.
So I was, oh my God.
Yeah.
I was a shower singer at best. When I was a kid, I always wanted to just be a singer. I always wanted to be like this, just like the guy in the front, which goes back to last week's where I'm like, I think I'm Mama Cass, and at 27, I'm going to choke on a ham sandwich, and everybody's going to realize that I'm a brilliant person. Not the case. But the Iowa, I went to Radio Shack because it had a microphone in, right?
Okay.
Like one of those 1/8"
Right.
microphone ins.
Mm-hmm.
And I accidentally once plugged it into the headphone out.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, why is there sound coming out of here?
Mm-hmm. I did the same thing.
And that's how I found out that I'm like, oh.
Yeah. That's what... That if you take apart a little microphone and you take apart for a little tape recorder and you take apart a pair of headphones, you'll see a lot of similarities.
Yeah, they all kind of use the same parts, but in different ways.
But see, that all goes knowing the technicalities and recording and all that kind of stuff goes into being able to maintain your own gear, or if something goes wrong, how to troubleshoot it or fix it.
But I mean, that's the important. I think that's the important thing, is to make those mistakes.
Definitely, and that's why people have.
It makes you better on the fly. When you're in the studio.
Right, you can use it later on. And that's when I was recording the bands in the basement, even though it was just their demos or whatever, I learned people skills and psychology skills and dealing with crises or whatever.
What's it like? So I'm not the journalist here, but I just know Jimmy's story. So what, a two-parter, right? What made you make the leap from going from mobile house recorder, engineer, to this, and then a little bit about like what's it like to deal, because every musician's different.
Right.
So like what's it like to record with different people or to mix with different people? So like how did you get to here? And then what's it like, dealing with different personalities?
Okay. So first, what made me make the leap?
What made you go from like, all right, it's time to bump it up?
Looking at a lot of people around me, sometimes I wonder why I'm not like a lot of my other friends who are all like married right now and have kids and have different responsibilities like that. But I feel like the mass of people kind of fall into that category where, you go to college, you get married after college, you get your 9-to-5 job, and then that just becomes the routine of your life. And I've always been against that. I feel like not against it like in a bad way. It's just I don't feel like that's my style, at least at this point in my life.
Not your destiny?
It's not my destiny. I feel like there's something a little bit more that I want to get out of it. I'm not sure what it is, but I want to break the mold for myself, and I didn't want to just immediately graduate college and do that. So I think like following the masses, that's what people do. And I wanted to do something that I truly believed in, and I just have this. Maybe I'm wrong, or maybe I'm just, I don't know the word, just like delusioned or think
misguided.
It's not misguided. It's like think there's a utopia somewhere. But I truly believe that if you have enough passion and belief in something and you do it, I feel like it will reward you in some way or another.
Even though while you're doing it, sometimes
like Ben
it seems
Franklin
insufferable.
said, "Keep thy shop, and thy shop will keep thee." It's like I
It was heavy.
breathe, sleep. Everything is music to me. Like whenever I can watch something on YouTube, like a technique, or watch an artist, or when I can read an article about how somebody recorded something, or if I can watch something on television, music related, if it's one of my idols, or even open myself up to something new.
Can I just say this about Jimmy to you guys? Like Jimmy, I'm here late, and usually like when I get home, Jimmy's watching some sort of thing about like, oh, this is what this plugin does, and this is a new way to put microphones somewhere, and this is what, you know what I mean? So it gives you like some sort of like, he still has like this childlike wonderment over everything, even though like the basics of recording are the same. Right. He wants to find ways to make it different, better.
I can't settle for monotony, and I like the art in it too much to just settle with, oh yeah, you plug a microphone in, throw it in front of the drums. Like there's more to it than that. You know what I mean? And that's what gives you your character sound.
Yeah. Now I heard you the other day talking to D'Angelo about like the 1-2-3 rule or something.
Oh, the 3-to-1 rule.
3-to-1 rule.
For
yeah.
mic placement, so that you don't get phase cancellation when you're trying to record something.
Like he knows all this stuff, and I'm just like, hey, you just put the microphone over there, and you should be.
It's funny because like I sound like such a nerd when I talk about
What's
this
wrong
stuff,
with being a nerd?
No, but I'm happy about it because that's who I am, and that's how I'm just passionate about what I record and what all my toys here.
So what's it like working with individual clients?
Okay, so I made the leap just because I wanted to try to see the reward that I could get from something I believe in so much. And you have to maintain a good balance because, like anything, when you make it a business, you now have a responsibility to other people beside yourself. It's no longer a hobby where if you mess something up, it's just your own thing you messed up. So you always have to keep a good balance, and you can't experiment on other people's time and that sort of thing, unless they're down for it. Some people are down for it and just they say, how can I get this sound? And I don't know. Well, let's try this, So after that, I'd have to say working with musicians, it opened up that door because there were people coming to me now because my name is out there, I guess, in some way or another. Not really that much, but you know what I mean? So it's like, oh, who recorded that? Or it could be something we did live in the warehouse, but I've gotten to work with musicians that I never would have if I didn't start the business. I kind of made friends even with Mark, and because we both of our passions kind of overlap, you know what I mean? So even that, for example, and through
As well
Mark,
as
I
our
met-
bed sheets.
and even through that, like I've met a lot of musicians through Mark, and I'm going to use John Smith as one example from the Underground Saints. He's a phenomenal musician and songwriter, and is an incredible producer as well. And when I work with him, it's almost like I recorded a couple demos for him before he moved to Nashville, and I kind of felt guilty charging him to record because I was learning from him more than anything else. I felt like...
Well, I think when everybody that comes in, you learn something a little bit new. When Chad Saliga was here...
Well, right, exactly. I'm just using John Smith as an example.
Right.
This is he was the first one that I worked with. And I like the same thing with Tom Graham. But John Smith was the first musician that was kind of a stranger to me that I worked with. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. Just learning things from his production style, or how we would approach a sound, or how we would approach a mix. I learned from that myself.
And he's very particular.
Right, he's very particular. And I have to say that with all the bands that I work that have come through the studio here, not just John, but you learn something from everybody. And like you were saying before, you learn from things you like, and you learn from things you don't like, and even when you're doing something the right way, it might not be the sound you're looking for, and you learn how to correct it. So it's a constant learning experience.
And I don't want there to be like this misconception out there about like when you say things like things you don't like, it's not necessarily that you don't like it. It's just not your style. Right. And it's the same thing as like some people like tomatoes, other people don't. But
well, just think about it this way. Think about heavy metal.
Right.
And think about a country song, and just listen to the drums, okay? So you listen to the metal drums, and then you listen to country drums. They're two completely different sounds. Now, if I was to approach a session recording a country singer, and I mic'd up the drums in a way that you'd record them in a metal setting, I didn't do it wrong. It's just not right for the song. So
right. So I mean, those are the things that you learn, and
right.
But I think the thing that I've learned about you is like no matter what type of music it is that you appreciate it and you want to do it.
Well, there's something at the essence of that music that makes it that style of music.
Right.
And you have to understand what that is, and you have to understand the defining characteristics of that, whether it's the writing style or whether it's the technicality side of it when you're getting down to the EQs and the mic placements of things. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. And with the analog to digital argument, like you were saying before, with things getting easier or more difficult, I think, for example, Logic, I could just call up a drum kit and I could click on metal, or I could click on rock, or I could click on country. I don't know, some people might not know why one is a rock kit and one's a country kit. They just, okay, I'm going to do a rock song, I'm going to click rock. But I feel like that kind of thing, if you fall into that trap and that's all you learn, you can kind of shortchange yourself. There's more to learn if you get hands-on with it and make the mistakes and try to be organic with it rather than just taking pre-sampled and pre-packaged things.
And now you're moving into something totally outside of your realm of experience.
What's that?
Films.
Right. Oh yeah, definitely. Yes, and I never ever thought about recording in terms of film. I never thought I would do that, but it's actually pretty cool, and I'm really enjoying it because working with music is fun and all, but this is a completely different challenge, and it's something that again breaks up the monotony of it because you're not just recording a guitar, you're recording vocals, but you're mixing them in a different way, and things have to be. I'm finding more honest because you can't hide a bad vocal track, and not just performance-wise, but you can't hide a bad-sounding dialogue track behind a bass guitar or a violin or something. Sometimes you can if you have background music, but it's very honest. If you overprocess something or if you screw something up when you're recording it, it's going to show.
See, I kind of threw Jimmy under the bus, and I'm like, you have 6 days to mix an entire film.
Oh.
And he's like...
And which film is that?
Susquehanna. It's a local guy named John Youngcondi, who is a USC graduate. He, I hope we have him on a podcast right now, but you got to understand this process. Like, he's still doing post while delivering scenes. And like he just left a session right now, but he has to go home and get the scenes ready for tomorrow. You know what I mean? So it's like you're doing all these processes on top of each other, and you're just trying to literally juggle all the plates and make sure none of them fall. And him and Jimmy have a good, after 2 days now, like they have a really good rapport. And, John knows what he wants and Jimmy knows how to give it to him. But, I got to admit, I was a little, Jimmy, I don't know if I told you this, but
What? No, you didn't.
I was a little, I have to, there's a couple of things where I was a little frightened about, putting you into a new environment. It's like taking the Little Mermaid and putting her on land.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I was
Ursula also turned into a human too with legs.
Yeah, she came after
So-
her.
right.
There's always
yeah, that's exactly
problems
the
that
metaphor
can
I was
chase
going
you
for.
down.
But on the other side too, I know you love music,
Right.
and I didn't. I was a little concerned that because you're such a kind and nice person, that I was a little concerned that it might be perceived as like I kind of bullied you into it.
No, I accept any challenge. And like even, I'd say within the last year and a half, 2 years of my life, I've watched more movies than I ever have.
You're welcome.
Right. But now like, just like I would listen to a song and pick it apart and be like, oh, this is how the drums are working, or this is how they sound like they're recorded. I listen to movies and now I'm like dissecting the audio portion of movies. Like I'm listening and thinking, is this a spot where it's completely just vocals? Is it a part where there's music behind it? Am I getting an emotional impact now because of the actual scene? Is it the delivery of the lines? Is it the music behind it? If it's the music, again, it's something that I can relate to. Is like what's working in the music that is pulling my emotion, or
what's working in the line,
what's working in the mix. Okay,
Yeah.
we're in a I don't know, somebody's living room in a scene in a movie. Okay, where's the dialogue coming from? What speaker is it coming from? Where are the ambient sounds coming from and why? So it's like
it's almost a little bit more. It's chaotic.
It is.
But at the end of the day, like and any editor, any engineer, any producer, anything, visual effects guys, their biggest compliment is for somebody to say that they never noticed.
Definitely, your art has to be transparent for it to be successful. I think in film, or I don't, maybe not all the time, but some people go after a certain style or look. But
I just want you to know that you're now in the realm of things to do that you could potentially get an Oscar.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's nuts. That's really
because sound mixers and sound designers get Oscars. And you can also probably get a Grammy, too.
That's cool. I don't know the difference between an Oscar and a Grammy or any of that kind of stuff.
Please don't say that again out loud.
I just know they have
especially
TV
to the
shows
film
where they
guy
have
over
awards.
here.
Yeah, Grammys are for Grammys are for music.
Okay.
Oscars are for film.
Okay.
Tonys are for theater.
Musical.
Okay.
Also.
Well, I mean, it's theater, musicals. There's
you
the
did a
Tony
soundtrack.
Awards. What's the name of the thing? Tracy Jordan had it on 30 Rock, where he was always trying to the EGOT and the Emmy.
Yeah.
So if we did a TV show or a film for TV, you could possibly get an Emmy. So you're in a really good position. Like you're in a better position for me to get an EGOT.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool. I'm learning things.
You
all
have the
time.
possibility to get an EGOT, to get the EGOT, which is like the big four, which is the Emmy, the Grammy, the Oscar, and the Tony.
I
That's
Well, I don't know about theater.
No,
I don't think we're going to get a Tony here.
So Jimmy, you're in a great place to get the ego.
Ego. Yeah. Forget the T. Hold the T.
All right, do you want to move to Lauren?
Sure.
Because enough of you.
Yeah, enough
Jimmy,
of-
you just spoke for like
I'm just
40
a bag
minutes.
of wind today.
It was
You
40.
are.
39 minutes and 58 seconds.
All right, so how did you get started?
I was born.
Besides birth.
I was born on the Upper East Side over the FDR Drive, and I was shuffled about the tri-state area for a period of time.
Jersey, PA, New York?
Jersey, New York, CT,
Connecticut.
Connecticut.
Connecticut's considered the tri-state area?
Tri-state, yeah.
I thought New York, New Jersey, and Philly were the tri-state area.
It's 3 states touching each other.
So's Okay.
Yeah. That was my tri-state area.
That
anyway.
was that was your tri-state.
That was my
area.
tri-state. I guess
Okay.
that would the corner of
New Jersey, New York, and
Yeah, that would be
PA.
another. That would be another
there's two
tri-state,
tri-state
area.
areas. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I was on the other tri-state area.
Okay. Tri-state B.
I don't know if I would say it's tri-state B,
Tri-state
but
A.
considering where we are at the present, I will go with it.
Pennsylvania.
Anyway, I had an upbringing and a half. Did all the extracurriculars, played all the instruments, did all the ballets, did all the things.
Were you the extra mile child?
Oh yeah. I was
The overachiever.
yeah, well, that's an understatement.
Were you the one who like all the other kids were like, fuck her,
No.
she's so smart?
No, that was my cousin. She was better than me at everything that we did.
So you said you, the overachiever, looked at her and said that.
Well, I just stole her brown crayon and made her cry for a while. Love
That
you,
was your-
Nina.
That was you.
That was
She
me.
couldn't get another brown crayon.
Well, she did, but
Burnt sienna.
no, it was brown.
Okay.
It was brown.
All right. So you're total overachiever,
Right. From a family of overachievers.
right? Because your mom and dad are very
Excellent.
yeah.
Yeah. Growing up, I knew my mom had about 5 graduate degrees, and my father was just kind of incredible in his own set of ways, and I had to live up to that. So I went to all the
Now,
best schools.
did you feel like you had to live up to that, or was it something where they're like, you have to live up to?
Oh,
this?
no, I had to be excellent.
So they wanted you to be excellent
Well, they just assumed I would be excellent, but I had to be more excellent than they presumed I would be.
personally.
Personally, yes.
Okay.
Otherwise, everything would have been a waste on me.
Okay.
It seemed like a shame to throw any of it away.
Now I feel bad about my parents. All right, go.
No. Well, it takes a village to raise an extraordinary child, I suppose. And my cousins and I were kind of raised
Extraordinarily.
by all my aunts and uncles and my grandmother, and everybody in the family just kind of came together and raised us. And it was a good upbringing. But when it came time for me to choose my college path, I kind of had a little crisis of, what do I do? Do I go to art school and become an artist? Do I go to music school and become a professional violin player? Do I go to business school and make lots of money? Do I go to law school and become a lawyer? So I went.
But you had all of those options in front of you.
Yeah,
You could have done any of them.
I got accepted to most of the schools. So came time, I had to choose, what the heck am I going to do with myself? And I chose to go to Seton Hall University in South Orange, New Jersey, to pursue a career in communication. And specifically,
was that something no one ever expected you to do?
oh no, I think they expected it. I think everything that I did kind of revolved around this central idea of mediating information or media in general
Right.
to everybody else in the family. We used to put on parlor sessions where my cousins and I would make performances, but I'd also record it and videotape it and then repackage it for the family.
Can we put those up on the NEPA
No,
Scene
never,
website?
ever will those ever make a light of
Yeah,
day.
let's do it.
No. There's
Jimmy and I might have a
You
surprise
might have
for
to
you.
contact your family and put
Okay.
a bounty
Jimmy.
on those tapes.
Jimmy,
What?
I don't want to say it out loud, but remember that DVD that you have?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think we should give that to Rich?
Oh, my God. If there's somebody that would appreciate it, it would be Rich. And to know what to do with it. It is a true gem.
All right, people should pay attention.
Just
in
remember
the
that.
future
We're not
to
going to
these
say any more
podcasts.
about it
No.
on the podcast, but just keep that idea somewhere that there
We
might be
might
something
have
awesome.
a 90
Pin that
minute
up
gem.
somewhere.
Right. Just,
Yeah, and we want to give it to you exclusively.
Yeah.
Now, remember the
All right, you heard it here first.
Do you remember the retrospective thing that you did for the Globe?
Yes.
This would
Well,
be like...
I didn't do that. I didn't.
Right,
do,
right,
I will
right,
not
right.
take
No,
any
but
credit
this
for
would
that.
be
WVIA
along the
did
same
that.
lines.
Right, but
Right.
you posted it.
But I posted it. Yes.
Right, you shared it,
Yep.
and you got a lot of good positive feedback.
Mhm.
I think this will beat it.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
all right,
That's fair.
and you just got to
Like,
be
it's
brave enough to do
priceless.
it.
There's priceless things associated
It's
with this.
nothing dirty. It's
No.
nothing.
what is it?
I
Can't
can't.
tell
We can't
you.
say on the
Can't tell
podcast.
you.
We'll say after the podcast.
Usually that's my job.
If we say it on the
That's-
podcast,
that's
I'm
your
going to have
thing.
to delete it right now.
No, can you do the beep and then
Yeah.
we'll go? Yeah, right. So
Obnoxious censor bar.
yeah. So okay. I just wanted to mention that because
Yeah, that's a great idea.
isn't that a great idea?
Mhm.
I've been stewing on it for a while. Okay, so you chose to go to Seton Hall.
I did for 4 years.
For communications.
Yep. I went into radio immediately, and because that was the best thing known for Seton Hall, 89.5 FM, WSOU.
Was that how you did the call?
It depended on which character I was, but yes.
You played characters.
WNBC.
No.
Big vomit.
Anyway, I made most of my friends there, so if anybody's listening from WSOU, howdy. I hope all is well in Radioland.
Howdy is good in Jersey.
Howdy's good in anywhere.
All right, well, we should keep doing howdy.
So, after school, it was, when did I graduate? 2000.
Did you get your bachelor's?
I got my bachelor's.
Yeah.
Yeah. I switched part of the way through in school and started a film focus. I was very interested in film and television because
what made you switch to that?
I realized during one of my internships in radio that radio was probably not the career path that it should be.
Right.
So I went in a more visual area.
Okay.
So, like Jimmy said, studying music kind of ruined music for him.
Yeah.
One of my first professors said, if you're going to study film, I hope you aren't married to loving film as a viewer, because it completely ruined the experience of watching films for me. And I probably will never get that back. But at the same time,
I can talk to you about that if you want.
At the same time, I can read a film in the way that I read a book, and I understand all the visual cues, and I can appreciate that a little bit more, because also knowing what goes into making a film, it's extremely difficult to encode visual messages that way.
Yeah.
Extremely difficult.
You're really just appreciating it in a different way.
Yes. Right after college, I started working as a PA in films, and that was an
thankless
experience.
job, but you get to know where all the bodies are buried.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was good. I enjoyed PAing a lot. I was just happy to be alive at that point. And then I started grad school.
How long did you PA before you started grad school?
3 months.
What'd you PA on?
A feature film that has actually just been re-released in another film circuit.
What's the pitch of it?
I'm not sure how to explain this in less than 3 minutes, and I'd like to keep this relatively short.
I was hoping 30 seconds.
Oh, okay. Dysfunctional family, child who kills animals.
You sure it's not The Trouble with Callie?
It's not.
I was waiting for that, actually.
Were you waiting for me?
In the back of my mind, I was like, he's going to say Trouble with Callie.
Did you think I was?
Yeah, I really did.
Oh, Rich, you and I, brother.
I was on the same wavelength with you there.
I think the universe is spoken and we are simpatico. So, all right.
I started grad school.
Is there a name?
It was known as Morris. No, it was known as the Family Reuben. Now it's known as Morris County. It's been reshaped into a trilogy.
Okay. Wow, what a long... Okay, go.
Yeah. Anyway.
And then you went to...
I went to grad school.
Yeah.
I continued PAing. I did a lot of television stuff, some Spanish language stuff, another feature film. Yeah, I was also waiting tables at the time, so I was busy. It was a very busy period of my life.
Where did you find time to do anything?
Oh, I had my mind working.
Yeah.
And it's like I could nap.
I think that's your fuel.
I could nap on the train, or I could read on the train. So I'd work and then get on the train and read my stacks of the things about American modernity, and go into the city and hang out there for a couple of hours, and then come home to across the river to Jersey.
Yeah.
And then I finished grad school, graduated with my master's.
What do you have a master's in?
Media studies, which was specifically focused in the sociology of mediating information and understanding the minds of people, American people mostly, and
because the British.
Well, the signs and signifiers that are necessary to mold thought.
Okay.
Right. New School is very famous for very interesting ideas on the matter. Immediately after my master's, I decided to go on for more because I didn't have enough. And
you didn't think you had enough.
I didn't have enough. I really wanted more of a business track.
Right.
I wanted something that I could hang my hat on at some point. So at the time, the media, the management program was being shaped into a media master's of science. Mm-hmm. So I only needed a few more credits to finish that. Unfortunately, I finished that before the program became the Masters of Science program and got a certificate on top of the Masters. So
you just missed a separate piece of paper.
Yeah.
Damn it.
I know.
All right, so you missed out on your piece of paper.
I did.
And then what?
And then I worked in New Jersey for maybe a year or so, a little bit less.
Was it hard for you to get a job at first?
It was the middle of the Great Recession. So
2008?
It was 2010 I graduated with my master's. Around 2008, I was expecting a couple of jobs to open up upon my graduation.
Right, and then the market crashed.
As soon as I got out, all those places went on hiring freezes or in the period of time. So there was really nowhere for me to go. So I just kind of did my own thing. I got a handful of clients around the tri-state area and just made money. I made money. And then,
which is good.
Yeah, one day, a friend of mine that I had made through my Seton Hall connections called me up and told me to drive out to the Poconos. And it was during Winter Storm Q. And I came out here.
What's Winter Storm Q?
Winter Storm Q was the first year, two years ago, they started naming winter storms. This had never happened before.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, they started, the Weather Channel decided they were going to name
Q
winter
for
storms.
your last name?
No.
Yeah, it was Winter Storm.
You know,
I don't know how to say your last name properly. So I just said that.
It's interesting because I ran into somebody that I haven't seen in like 8 years today, and he pulls me aside and he said, "Is it okay that I'm still calling you Q? Does anybody else call you Q?" It's like, no.
Can we start calling you Q like from Bond?
Oh, I would love that.
You do realize most of the people in my life call me Q.
Why didn't you tell us this?
Well, I don't. Most
Lauren,
of my,
it's been a fucking year, and not once have you told me to call you Q.
like all the jackets that I have my name on it just say Q.
Your earphone has a Q on
There's
it.
a Q
right
on my
there.
earphone. I label all my stuff Q.
I had no idea.
I signed my name Q.
Yeah, but your headphone says LQ, so I wouldn't know.
Like Zorro has the Z.
Yeah.
Lauren has the
Lauren
Q.
has the circle slash.
Some
So,
of my
Zorro's
cousins
like,
call me Q.
But what
People
the-
in
what
my
would Q
family
sound like?
call me Q.
Really?
Yeah.
And they have your same last name.
Yeah. For some of them.
All right. Well, we're gonna start calling you Q.
All right.
Okay. So then you do the job for what? Like, so it's hard to find a job. You get a bunch of clients.
Yeah. And I come out here during Winter Storm Q. I'm told to go to a job fair out here. It's the middle of the winter storm. I get the call at like 10 o'clock in the morning. It takes me a good 3 hours to get out here anyway.
Was this like a year ago?
This was a year and a half ago almost.
Okay. Yeah.
Or 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago.
Was it 2 years ago?
It was 2 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Wow.
Because we met about it, what, a year ago?
About a year ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a year before that.
Yeah.
Okay, go.
Yeah. So
All right.
I was told to go to a job fair and talk to these people about what I do in television in the back rooms because they had just built this place that might need help. So
Right.
I missed the job fair entirely because of the winter storm and the fact that I got the call about 2 hours before the job fair was ending. So I go there and I look around. I'm like, okay, well, if I were them, where would I go? So I find the nearest bar. And I look for people wearing the same outfits because I figured that's what they're going to look like. I find them. And I
Then
bought.
they have no clue who you are.
Oh, no, heavens, no. But I just drove 3 hours through a winter storm in the Poconos. And it's
So you're
my
going
first
to talk to them.
I'm going to drink
Come
a cup
hell
of
or
coffee
high water.
and then talk to, because I hadn't had coffee at that point either. Like it was a Saturday morning. I was
So you're
sleeping
ready
in.
to kill at this point.
Oh, I was pretty miserable. Yeah. And,
She's not going home without a business card.
at least, yeah. So I'm sitting down, I'm drinking my coffee. I'm like,
Or a scalp.
it's kind of lunchtime, so I should order something. So I ordered like a little appetizer while I'm formulating my plan as to how I'm going to approach these strangers. They're done for the day. They don't care who I am. So I was like, what should I do? I bought them a round of drinks.
Oh my God.
I did. I told the bartender, I'm like, listen, those people over there, can you find out what company they work for? Bartender comes back, gives me the information.
info, yeah.
I'm like, okay, buy them a round of whatever they're drinking now. Put it on my card. And then somebody approaches after they receive their drinks and introduces themselves. And I'm like, well, this is what happened, and this is why I'm here. Will you just take my resume? They took it. And then somebody else came over to talk to me because I had another cup of coffee at that point. And
Not even cocktails.
No,
You were on.
I was drinking coffee. Yeah. I was tired. I just drove a long way. And that's how I started in Northeast PA. That's what brought me out here. Because I was just like, well, I drove all this way. I'm not going back.
I mean, to a possible employer.
Right. That's a good sign that you're that enthusiastic.
Yeah.
So who were these guys?
Do you not want to say their names?
I guess it's all right. It's the Rail Riders.
Okay.
Yeah. That's where I started in the area. And
Cool.
I did their replay and did some of their camera work.
Oh, that's
for
awesome.
the first season at the new stadium. And then I met other people in the television media through them who invited me to stay on the fall to find more things to do with myself because I can't just do one thing at a time. So I picked up.
No, you can't.
I know. I picked up a couple more jobs and moved into a bigger place than the first place that I was in, which was a 1-bedroom. And
Scary.
yeah,
You've like PTSD on that.
it just happened.
On that
Yeah.
apartment.
So I ended up here, and I'm pretty happy in my place. I have a washer dryer, and it makes me appreciate life.
But if you think of all those events and you think of all the things that you did and how you were raised and
Yep.
and all those circumstances
I'm
to get you where you are today, do you are like, can you safely say that, like, not like you're not settling, but at least you feel welcome in your comfort and you have a comfort level?
Yes. Amongst all the things I have an experience in, I think that what I'm doing now, working as a strategist in particular, because that's what I do now,
Right.
full time, which is very nice. And
After
I
you left
love.
me.
I didn't leave you.
You left me.
I still come here though.
I know.
Mark was kind enough to hire me last year after we worked on a project together.
After we
And we formed a great.
Wait, hold on. What was the book Apocalypse Now is based on?
Into the Jungle or the Heart of Darkness.
Heart of Darkness.
Heart of Darkness.
After the Heart of Darkness experience that we had, where we found Colonel Kurtz. After that, I mean, I saw Lauren. Like, I was in a real weird. Do you mind if I go off on a tangent?
That's fine.
I was in a real weird place, personally and professionally, and I kind of welcomed the opportunity to work on a project, and Lauren happened to be working on the project, and I never met Lauren. And when she got in my car the first time, and literally she hops in the back seat, and there must be 4 dozen empty Dunkin' Donut cups.
It was kind of gross.
Yeah, because I still live like a PA in LA, where it's just like, I'm done with this, I'm gonna throw it in the back seat and get it later. And from that moment on, because I thought Lauren was just like this super like alpha, and I really don't get along with like alpha females, if that makes sense. And it's not to down it, like I love and appreciate strong individuals, but I also love and appreciate strong individuals who can kind of come down to my level, where it's just like, we can have a conversation about nothing. You know what I mean? And still have a good time. It's not all about like, we have this to do, we have that to do, we have this, Lauren was still able to say a joke, and it resonated a lot with me. And she was willing, she was willing to compromise. Like, to me, that's incredibly important. And Lauren was willing to compromise. And then after that situation, there was some sort of raw deal involved with Lauren, and I hated it. And I thought Lauren was incredible. And so I hired her not because she needed a job. I hired her because I didn't want her to leave.
Oh, because I actually would have left at that point.
Yeah.
I really would have. I was pretty much, I didn't have very many reasons to stay on in particular, but having made friends, it was just like, I kind of want to stay. I kind of want to go because all my family's in New York and New Jersey.
Right.
I still have.
And you go back and forth sometimes.
I do.
Yeah, I think every weekend you go.
Either people come up to visit me or I go back home. It's how it rolls out on the weekends. But you were probably the pivotal reason why I didn't leave last summer.
I did it for totally selfish reasons.
It's fine. I'm still here.
And I'm happy that we still have a rapport, even though you left me.
I didn't leave you.
You left me.
Well, kind of, but if it makes
But you know what? But when that opportunity arose, that was a great opportunity.
Yeah.
And there was absolutely no way that I would be the guy who'd be like, I'm selfish to a point, but I'm not going to be that selfish. I just wanted, like everybody in this podcast, I want everybody to be happy.
And I am happy.
Yeah.
I love everything about this job.
I know.
I'm sorry.
And I'm happy that you do, because we still get to work together and we still get to do
nice.
cool things, and we still get to, and then you help me when I'm having my breakdowns and stuff like that. And
it's fine. And then if everything goes to plan, my 5-year plan, and I open up my...
we're all going to New Zealand.
No. But
To
probably
shoot another Lord of the Rings? Or?
No. That was like my, how like you set goals, like bucket list shit.
Mm-hmm.
When the first Lord of the Rings came out, I was like, no, actually when I graduated film school, I was like, all right, in 5 years, I'm going to go to New Zealand.
Oh.
I just want to see like Helm's Deep and, you know, Rohan and all that shit. So it's 10
Kill
years.
some orcs.
It's 9 years later.
I just want to have a goat in 5 years.
And it's 9 years later, and they're still making them. So
Which is
so there you go.
No, they're making hobbitses.
yeah.
Yes.
There's too many hobbits. The Lord of the Rings trilogy, to me,
The Hobbit was like this big.
the book.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't.
The book.
I don't understand.
Well, it's like Mel Brooks said in Spaceballs. Spaceballs 2, the search for more money. So, but that was my goal, and I want to go to Hawaii just to see where they shot Lost. That's like where
That's a
I
good
live.
goal.
No, but next year we're going to Portugal to find chocolate.
Oh, right.
I'm down. We just have to make enough money to do it.
Yeah, and I have to get a passport.
Because I was just looking. I have to officiate a wedding at the end of May in LA, and I was just looking up ticket prices, and I'm like, oh my god,
That's so random that you can do that.
that I can officiate a wedding.
Yeah.
It'll be my second in a year. Yeah.
Well,
It's interesting though, because like the wedding, I have to. It's for one of my best friends in LA, and him and his fiance, are like really big, in like they're not like big as in like they're Tom Cruise big, but like they work on Tom Cruise movies with Tom Cruise. You know what I mean? And Christopher McQuarrie, who I think is one of the best directors out there, but they're over in England right now shooting Mission Impossible 5. So now there's like a lot of fear for me to like, I have to go speak in front of a group that I would love to just have like them accept me. If that makes any like crazy sense. And then at the same time, I get the privilege of marrying. That might not be the right word.
Yeah, it is.
Of officiating the marriage of one of my best friends, which is awesome.
Now, will you come back with great stories from this?
I don't know.
Because I'm assuming there's going to be some cool people probably at this thing.
Yeah, but I don't want to treat it like, if I could, I don't know. I might not.
I think your goal
I might
should
have one of those things where I'm like,
That's what you have to say, is that you're not going to be there as a spectator. But
Right.
you have to be. Right?
that I'm not going to be there as a spectator.
Yeah, you have to
I'm
say, I'm not
actively-
going to be there to check it out. But
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
if somebody famous walks by, you're going to be all about it, right?
Oh, I may come back with the I threw up on Tom Cruise's shoes story because I think he's amazing.
Yeah.
I love Tom Cruise.
I got to use the same toilet as Tom Cruise.
Yeah, and I'd be okay with that.
I stood next to him at the urinal.
Or
Yeah.
no,
I gazed a little too long.
I looked.
Tom
down
Cruise
at
had
him.
to use the toilet after me.
I hope that doesn't happen.
Take that, Tom Cruise.
Yeah. Tom, you may want to spray. So yeah, I mean, it's weird how like everything like
That's the danger zone in there.
yeah, it is. It really is.
I paved the highway to the danger zone for you, Tom.